Hello everyone, welcome back to the Spicy Bookish Podcast with me, Nikita.
And me, Tia.
Also known as Ginger and Spice.
Lovely.
Do you know when I say that, do you never know whether to say Ginger and Spice with me or not?
No, so that's one thing. And sometimes I even go to say the Ginger and Spice Podcast, like old school.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's ingrained in my brain, even though, it was shit back then. It wasn't. Don't go back and look because it's shit. But, it's still obviously in my brain.
We say old school as if it was like ages ago, and it wasn't.
It was last year.
Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah, but I feel like we've blossomed.
We have. Yeah, we've still got a lot of blossoming to do, though. Yeah. We've got a long way to go.
Plenty of blossomage to do.
Okay, so this week's podcast is... I was literally going to say Spicy Bookish. That doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever. Let me try again. This week's podcast is Cowboy.
Woohoo!
Cowboy Romance themed. Now, we haven't done a Cowboy Romance theme for ages. And we went into this absolutely buzzing off our tits.
Buzzing off my fucking
I was
tits.
so fucking excited for this. We had some really good books lined up. And one of my books I have been holding on to for weeks.
I know.
So I could do it during Cowboy Week because I was like, yes, it'll fit the vibe. It'll give me all the feels. And oh my God, not only were we in a slump, but we then also had just not great books. They were just subpar.
Do you know what? Like, I was wearing a cowboy hat to bed and everything. Like, I was buzzing off my tits.
Wearing your boots in bed.
She's like, oh my God, I'm so excited. And then I think it wasn't great. Like, I was so disappointed.
I know.
One of them was my 12 for 12 and I didn't have a great time at all. One was like too fluffy, didn't even know where it was going. One, I was expecting to be amazing because we've read the rest of the series and the rest of the series was great. And then I was like, what's happened? Yeah, it wasn't great.
So before we talk you through the books that we did for our cowboy theme, we actually didn't do a podcast last week. And Ella, our lovely editor, is currently traveling like Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, let's just say Asia area.
Yeah.
Doing all of the things. And last week she was on a little moped. Moped. Yeah. Moped. She was on a little moped and beeping her way through some mountains and hills and stuff like that. So she wasn't off grid, but it was one of those really important things to her that she just wanted to be like head in the game, not doing other stuff.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
So she took the week and we were like, because obviously we are capable of editing the podcast as well, but the reason we have Ella is because we are so busy we don't really have the time. And we were like, do we do it or do we just take a week off?
It was nice, wasn't it?
Oh, it was so nice.
It was nice!
Guys, it was so nice having a week off. And I hope, again, we're such a small creator and especially in the podcast world.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I hope, it was okay for everyone because I know we have people that like do listen most weeks and especially like on a Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon, and I know those people are like minimal especially compared to like other podcasts and everything, but it is a little bit like, oh no, we've been so consistent this year, and it was like letting go of that 1 week.
No, we were doing really well.
Oh, but we did need the week off.
Yeah.
We really did need that weekend off.
It did feel good.
Yeah, it did feel really good. Yeah. We were both still really busy, but at least it was like with our own life stuff.
Yeah.
Rather than just everything Spicy Bookish or Ginger and Spice related. So we took the week off and hope that was okay. I didn't put in a holiday request with you all, so next time we will. We'll submit it through the TMS system. Yeah, so let's get into our Cowboy Romance week. This week, nerdy didn't happen, by the way, because we were having that bad of a time. We very nearly scrapped it. Yeah. But it got to a point where we were like, oh, we're this far into it now. Like, I think you'd done 2 and I'd done 1 or something at this point. Yeah. And we were like, oh, we'll just keep going. Or you'd done 3. And I was like, well, at least you've got 3 to talk about, even if I don't do any more. But I soldiered on through and I did a couple of novellas as well, which helped pull me through to some degree. Okay, so let's talk about the actual books and the authors.
Yes.
So I'll run through my books, Tia will run through her books, and then individually we will sort of flip back and forth between us and go over the books that we read. Only one of these is a crossover that we did jointly. And that book was actually Dirty Cowboys by Jaye Pratt.
Yes.
Was it Jaye Pratt and Samantha Barrett or just Jaye Pratt?
No, just Jaye Pratt.
What was the one with the 2 of them?
It was the one that we read at Valentine's.
Yeah, what was that?
Masked at Valentine's.
Really inventive.
Masked Men at Valentine's.
Nice. You are not allowed to be in charge of naming our book if we
But
ever write
at the
one.
same time, it could be correct.
It could be. You're right.
be.
Yeah. So simple. Yeah, so it was Dirty Cowboys by Jaye Pratt.
Yes.
And I actually really like the cover for this one. And I will say I actually did really enjoy this one.
Yeah, I did have a really
to
good
be
time.
honest.
Mm-hmm.
So the books that I did were Dirty Cowboys by Jaye Pratt. I did Stray by DJ Krimmer. Cowboy Casual by Hollee Renee. Death Valley by Karina Halle. Now that one is a questionable cowboy one, but it was sold as a cowboy one. Okay. And I did Fires Creek by DM Henderson. Yeah. And that's a novella. So Dirty Cowboys and Fires Creek were novellas. What were your ones?
So I did Dirty Cowboys as well. Twisted Cross Ranch by Kayla, Rein and Meg Ann. 2 separate names. Not Megan.
Like, why are you saying that? Hey,
Megan.
Hi, Megan.
Megan. No, her name is Meg Ann.
If I ever meet anyone called Megan, I'm officially now just going to call them Megan.
Megan. So this one is actually 3 novellas, but if you listen to it on audio, you can buy it as a whole. My next one is Branded by Saffron A. Kent, then Saving the Rain by Elliot Rose, and then Rein Me In by Kayla Grosse. The last 3, I don't have a lot to say about them because I didn't have a great time, but we'll go over that later.
When we get to it. Before we get into it, it is so important to remember that we were in a slump. We were slumping so hard. So just because we didn't enjoy these, that doesn't actually necessarily mean it was that way. Our mood was really off and we were both really struggling.
It was bad, yeah. It was a really bad time. It was a bad time for all involved.
That's one of the worst
What
slumps
even
I've been in
was
for
it?
ages.
Started it. Pen Pal. It was Pen Pal that kicked it off. And then what did I read afterwards? And I was like, oh, well, that's me gone. In her own league. In her own league. I read in her own league, and then I thought about Emmett Montgomery for about 5 days straight and why he's not real. I was like, well, that's unfair, isn't it?
Yeah.
That ain't right.
I can't hear the words Emmett Montgomery without picturing Gabe Kaplan.
Oh, so we did a thing where we just Googled him and was sending each other numerous pictures and messages. And there was one point, I shit you not, at the same time we sent the same message to each other. I can't even remember what it was. And we both just went like that.
That's so weird.
It was so weird.
What did we say?
It was something like, how can one find... It was put, how can one find a man like this? And I put, how can one find Gabe? Or it was something like that. And we both went...
No, I said something like, how does one find themselves in a room with Gabe Kaplan?
Yeah.
And then you said something like,
how does one find Gabe Kaplan? We don't know the answer to that yet.
But yeah, we sent that message at the exact same time to each other.
Yeah.
We'd sent that many messages, we became in sync on our thoughts.
It was really weird.
If you haven't Googled Gabe Kaplan and you don't know who that is, please do it. And especially please do it if you have read the Windy City series and know who Monty is. And especially if you've read his book In Her Own League.
Also, please Google his hand.
Gabe Kaplan's hand.
Fuck! That fucking hand with the tattoo on it and the watch. I genuinely thought I was going to explode. At my desk.
There's these interviews that he does. I think it's called Night Kapler, something like that, isn't it? Where because he's like the manager of a baseball team, or at least he was until recently, and the woman who obviously works for the team or whatever and does like, you know, PR and social media and stuff like that, she does like a little sit down interview with him, and they basically get like a new scotch or a whiskey out to try. And honestly, just looking at him man spread, holding a straight scotch or whiskey with his tattoo on his hand and his watch and his hat. Oh,
fuck!
Insane. Oh. He is Emmett Montgomery through and through.
Yeah.
There's absolutely nobody else that would be fit for
that's
that
it.
man.
That's
him.
all I want.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted for those 5 days.
And I think he's like, how old is he? He's Gabe Kaplan. He's like 50,
He's
50,
50,
51?
yeah.
Something like that.
So it works. It really works. It works so well. It really does.
Anyway, we've gone off on a proper tangent here. It's got nothing to do with Cowboys.
Nothing at all.
Sorry about that, everybody. Okay, so shall I go first?
Yeah, go for it.
and talk about, I don't know. I don't even know. Should I start off with... Do you know what? I'm going to start off with Stray, because just a minute ago I said one of these books I was holding on to for ages. I was desperate to read it as soon as I found it. And then I was like, I knew we had a Cowboy week coming up. So I thought, oh, I'll just wait until that comes up and then I'll do it then. So I held off and I held off. And actually the Modern Mum, who we follow on Instagram, she had read it. Because I think I put something up on stories and she replied being like, oh my God, I read it and it was so good. And I read, this is by DJ Krimmer. And I read Grimm by DJ Krimmer on my way home from sabbatical. And I fucking loved it. So I immersive read it, and the audio was absolutely impeccable. It was like somewhere in between a dramatized audio and a normal kind of duet audio, and it was so fucking good. So I had high hopes for this. I was desperate to read it, and then I got to it, and I'm actually just going to tell you my rating straight off the bat. So I gave it 3.5 stars, and I gave it 3 chili peppers. I think it could have even maybe been up to a 4, maybe a 3.5. However, my final note in the book will tell you why I am unsure of the chili peppers, and it is, I had lost interest completely by the last 40 pages.
Okay.
Like, I listened to it and I got through it, obviously, but you know when you get to that point in a book where you're like, I do not give a shit what happens now.
Yeah, do you know why I'm fucked off about this situation? Is because I bought the physical copy, which cost me £20, and then I mean, I'm exaggerating. It was probably like 15. Still a lot. And then I bought the audio as well.
I mean, you might like it.
Which combined, I had to remortgage for. So, I mean...
You might like it, though. You might like it.
It doesn't give me high hopes because we do like most things. Like, we are very samey
especially when it comes to kind of Cowboys, yeah. But, okay. I didn't not enjoy it, but I also didn't enjoy it.
Interesting.
Do you know what I mean? It was just like
down the
straight
road.
down the middle.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it. And then by the end, I was like, I could definitely leave it. But I was in a slump. So I got to a point where I could see the end of the book. And I was just like, I'm ready to move on now.
Yeah, with your life.
But that could have been the slump doing that. So I'm going to give the best kind of rundown I can. So there is some really, really fucking dark elements to this, and actually it started off really strong. I will give it that. So it was either the prologue or the opening chapter. No, it was the prologue. The prologue started with her being kidnapped. She was basically like shackled by these men, and she was being used basically as like a pet. And when I tell you it was so fucking dark, and I don't mean it in like a captured kind of way where she has Stockholm syndrome and gets, falls for one of them or whatever. We're talking like these were bad people. She was in this situation. She was kidnapped. She was shackled. She was obviously being like raped and tortured. She ended up covered in scars. And that was the prologue, so the opening scenes. And it was so fucking dark. It actually caught me by surprise. And I was like, oh, obviously this is not nice. But I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'm in. And then we cut to chapter 1 and time had passed quite substantially. And she was now a nurse, and she basically got this new job as like a private nurse to a dying man on a ranch. So she turns up at the ranch. She's very bullshit, I did quite like her personality. Very bullshit, very out there, very independent, especially given what she had been through in her past. But she did have quite a bit of like PTSD and stuff like that, and quite a lot of triggers. So she turns up at the ranch to be a nurse to the owner of the ranch, which is the dad, and then obviously she meets the sons, and then one of the sons obviously takes a liking to her. She takes a liking to him, so she's covered in tattoos, she's got piercings everywhere, nose, lip, if I remember rightly, nipples, like covered in it. She sounded really fucking cool. And yeah, her and one of the sons just hit it off. And actually I do have a note in here to say that I did really like him. He treated her impeccably, and he was so patient with her. As soon as he cottoned on that she'd been through something in her past, he was like really delicate about that.
Yeah.
And I did really like that. I loved the way that he treated her from the get-go. I think sometimes, in these books where the female has gone through trauma, they meet someone else and he's a bit of an arsehole, maybe not Grumpy Sunshine situation obviously, but he's just a bit of a grumpy arsehole. and then her trauma's never really addressed, and she just sort of like falls in love and gets over it.
Yeah.
I liked that we didn't just jump over that, and he actually helped her through that. And we read a Cowboy book ages ago, didn't we, where he was helping her through some like PTSD. He used sexy time. What book was that? Do you remember?
That was Pam Godwin's.
Yeah, what was that?
That's
Knotted?
the same sort of vibe. Yeah,
Knotted.
Because she went through the same thing at the beginning of that, didn't she?
Yeah, so very, very similar in that sense. Except, obviously, I think in, like, Knotted, they'd, like, parted ways and all that kind of stuff, didn't they? Yeah. Similar premise-ish, but the storylines are completely different. Yeah, so they end up getting together, and he obviously realises that she's got some triggers, and especially when it comes to, like, being touched, she doesn't like being touched and stuff like that. So when it came to, like, being physical and being intimate, they had to approach things differently, and he realised that she had to be spoken to and talked through everything that was going on, because otherwise she'd start to get in her own head, she'd start to panic. So things like he couldn't go down on her because he had to be up in her ear, like, talking her through it and stuff. So he actually, and I really liked this, he made her a tape so she could put headphones in, just so he could go down on her, so she could listen to him talking to her.
Oh my God,
through
that's
it.
Amazing.
Isn't it? And I was like, okay. That was actually probably one of my favourite parts in the whole book. Yeah, that's
amazing.
And I was like, that is so, so good. And then obviously if she's like getting herself off and stuff like that, she's got like him in her ear holes. So there were some parts of this I did really, really like. Overall, I did find it a little boring. And again, probably best to take all these negatives with a pinch of salt. I did find it a little boring. The spice was good because he had to say so many words. So he had to talk her through it. So I did enjoy that aspect of it. After halfway, when they start doing it, it does get kind of like a lot more spicy. Like, it's not really spicy at all, and then it's just like really spicy. It just didn't stop. And I've got a couple of, like, I've got a page of positives and like a page of kind of like negatives. But the female narrator, if I remember rightly, I'm sure it's the same female narrator who plays Cecilia in Flock in the Ravenhood series. I'm sure it was her, unless I'm getting mixed up with another one, correct me if I'm wrong. But she kept going really high pitched. So when she was like in a situation where she was upset, you know, like when you watch bad acting on TV and they go, I just didn't know what to do.
Oh my God.
It was like so high pitched that I was like, you're losing me. Like, I've taken a headphone out and I was like, no.
Oh no. Okay. This doesn't sound good.
But I could just be making it worse than it is. But that's one thing I noted, and it was consistent. It's one of those things that once you notice it, you can't unnotice it. Yeah. So anyway, she kept going really high pitched, and it was starting to upset me. The last thing I'll say about this is he nicknames her Tink. Now, I know a lot of you may think, oh, that's kind of cute. So where I grew up in Scotland, Tink is not a name you want to be called at all. Oh. It is a very derogatory nickname. Right. Like, and we used it in a way to be like, so when we were young, we grew up and be like, oh, you fucking Tink. Do you get what I mean? It was not something, and that's obviously a me thing, because of where I grew up. And you're going to get that with nicknames and stuff like that, and slang in different countries and different places. But yeah, I was like, so every time I called her Tink, I was like, oh, Sure.
That's so funny.
So I didn't really like that nickname. So overall, kind of straight down the middle, because it did have some really good positives. Yeah. Strong star. He was a great MMC. He was very caring. I loved him. I actually did like her personality. I liked that we didn't jump over her trauma. It was addressed, and they worked through it. But also, there were some negatives for me on that as well. And again, it could just be because I was slumping. But yeah, straight down the middle rating, which is 3.5 stars for me. And the main characters' names were Ozzy and Jackson. Nice. Not that that really means anything.
That's okay, though.
Okay, your turn.
My turn. So my good one that I really, really enjoyed was Twisted Cross Branch by Elle Lorraine and Megan. Megan! So this one it's 3 novellas, so 250 pages each. Or you can read it as one. But I kind of liked having that little break in between, because I was like, oh, I'll just like chuck something else in the middle just to have a little breather from them. But oh my God, I loved it so much. So it was Why Choose, dark. There was like the Bratva involved, like close to the end, which I was kind of like, sure. Didn't really make a lot of sense, but we rolled with it. There was a lot of secrets. There was plenty of lies. It's 3 brothers. She One of them took her V-plates when she was younger, and then she ran away because he didn't love her.
Oh,
I know!
chestnut.
It was so dramatic, and I loved it. So we've got Danny, who is the angry, grumpy one. We've got Walker, that's the golden retriever. Classic, always got to have a golden retriever. And then you've got Bishop. He is the sweet, reliable one who has got a filthy mouth, but also he doesn't like to be touched because he went through some past trauma.
Aww.
And River is the FMC. Okay, so River, back in the day, so it turns out that all the guys obviously loved her. She loved all of them. They used to hang around all the time, but she had a stronger connection with Danny. He's obviously the older one, the grumpy one.
Nice.
So he's the one that took her V-plates one night. She was kind of like, I want to give it to you. He's like, yeah, I'll take it. And then afterwards, he just broke it off. However, you do find out why he broke it off later on, but obviously I'm not going to say why now. So she's 18 at that point, so she runs away. She ends up going to like this cafe, and there's this guy there that ends up helping her, not in like a sexy way. He ends up helping her, and he's like, I've got a sister that's your age. Just come back with me. We'll look after you. So that's what happened when she was gone. Anyway, so then back to the present. They're all in an office together because their father passed away, so now they have to listen to the will. And then she comes bawling into the room, and they're like, what the fuck? Like, we haven't seen you in years. She's like, I actually don't know why I'm here. They read out the will, so she's actually now got 50% of the ranch. No one knows why. And she's like, well, you know, I did know your family well. And they're like, yeah, but that makes no logical sense.
Half the ranch.
She's got half the ranch, and she can't sell them that half until she's been there for 365 days, and she has to live on the ranch at the same time. So she's like, okay, fuck it, like, I'll just do it. And obviously it gets hella spicy, and they all come together. However, on the way, it's very, very fucking dramatic. Like, very dramatic. So the first one, it was like nice, all of them coasting along, her kind of getting on with the other two. So she got on with Walker and she got on with Bishop. And then Danny was just watching from the sidelines, even though he was like madly in love with her and took her V-plates back in the day. So the first one was just like setting the scene. And then the second one, I mean, it just went off. It went off and then some. And obviously I can't tell you what happened because it will give away the whole thing. However, I am going to tell you my favourite scene. So my favourite scene is in chapter 8 in book 2. So turns out her and Danny are married, but they didn't know. No one knows why yet. You do at the beginning of book 2. So chapter 8 in book 2. So she is now like doing bits with all of them. So the night before they went to this gala, and Bishop, who is the one that doesn't like being touched, he was touching her up in the taxi. So they're out on the ranch. He's had a hard day at work, and she's like, I just want to fill you up and make you feel good. She's like, I want to get on my knees, but she's never given a blowy before. She doesn't know what she's doing, and he's like well up for it. Anyway, so he gets a little blanket out and he puts it on the path for her, and she gets on her knees, and then she starts going to town on him. So he's having a good time. He's got his eyes closed. She's like going for it, and then he opens his eyes and he clocks Danny over the way. So Danny has seen all this unfolding and then just stops and watches. And then Bishop says something like, if your husband turned up now, would you turn me away or would you tell him to join in? And she like pops off him and she goes, I'd tell him to join in. And then he just looks over at Danny and goes, well, do you want to come over then? And it was just like, yes, yes, yes. Because then she's like, because she didn't realise he was there the whole time. So he comes over and he like sits behind her. So she pops herself back on and carries on with Bishop. Bishop's mouth is insane. Like, he says some things and I'm like, I've never heard so many things be said in such a short space of time. It was really great. Like, he was really great. Danny's behind her, the husband, and he is up there with his fingers. So he said, what do you say, Mr. Cross? Are you gonna give your wife what she needs? And she says, make me come, Cross. Make me come whilst I suck another man's dick. So she's sucking Bishop whilst her husband is fingers deep in her. Bishop tells her she's not allowed to finish until he does. And then Danny says to her, suck him deep, Sparrow, because he calls her Sparrow. Cute. Then I'll make you finish on my fingers like the good girl that you should be. Honestly, that scene, I had a really nice time.
I remember when you were reading it, you were really losing it.
I was everywhere.
Yeah.
There was so much going
all
on.
over the place.
She was separately with 3 men. And then they finally came together. I mean, the final scene with all of them, I thought I was going to shatter into pieces. Cease to exist.
I might actually have to read this. If the
It's
Mafia
actually
element
really
is
good.
only small. What was it called again?
It's Twisted Cross Ranch.
Cross Ranch.
Even if you just read the first novella just to get into it, and then like you could read the second one like in a month.
So it's 3 novellas.
3 novellas, or you can do the whole thing on audio.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. So I actually rated it 4.5 stars, and I gave it 2.5 to 3 chilies because the first book there wasn't a lot in it, but then it did sort of ramp up. So maximum would be 3 for the second 2 books.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. But yeah. Woo! Hot.
Okay, so I'm going to go into Fires Creek and then I'm going to go straight into Death Valley after. I'm going to do Fires Creek really quickly. So I gave this 3 stars and I gave it 5 chili peppers.
Whoa!
Yeah. So it's Cowboy, Why Choose, Adopted Brothers, City Girl and Small Town Cowboys, and It's a Happily Ever After. Honestly, when I started reading it, I was like, I can't believe this is 113 pages. How are we gonna get this in 113 pages? And I'll tell you how we got it in 113 pages, because they started fucking on like page 20, which was my biggest bugbear actually, because we're all about the spice. Don't get me wrong, and especially when it's a novella and it's like, oh yeah, it's gonna be like a smutty little novella. But I do think you do need to allow some build up.
Yeah.
You know. Like, personally, anyway. So I personally felt like we probably could have done with another 20 pages of build-up. So she was some kind of, like, financial bigwig. It didn't particularly make too much sense what she, like, I don't want to stereotype, but she was, like, tattooed, fairly young, very pretty, you know, great body, blah, blah, blah. But she was also some, like, financial bigwig, and she made, like, loads of fucking money. And I think she'd, like, her boyfriend was cheating on her or whatever it was. Anyway, she was drinking one night. She had a bottle of wine and she had the TV on, and an advert came on, and it was like selling these houses, you know, like the realtors in America, they sell houses on TV. And then this ranch came up and she was like, oh my God, that looks amazing. So in her drunken state, she calls up, she buys a ranch, leaves herself a note, wakes up the next day, and she's like, what the actual fuck? Yeah. I bought a ranch when I was drunk. Because apparently she's got that much money lying around, and she bought it for like 750k.
Oh, we've all been there.
Yeah, we'll do that after a bottle of wine. Who hasn't?
In my dreams.
Yeah. So then she was like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to live in Fires Creek, which is where she bought the ranch.
Yeah.
So anyway, we fast forward. She's in the car, she's got all of her stuff, she's packed up, she's moving to Fires Creek. From the city to this little small town place, and she does kind of like works remotely and stuff, so she can kind of work from anywhere. So she turns up at the ranch that she's now the owner of, and the foreman is the son of the old foreman who ran the ranch, and his adopted brother, or adoptive brother, whatever you want to call it. I don't think he was officially adopted, but he was taken into the family when he was like 14 or 16 or something. And the brother is like 4 years older, the oldest one. So you've got River, Teddy, and Jonas. Now, just by those names, tell me which one you think is the golden retriever.
Teddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was really obvious as well.
Yeah.
So Teddy's the golden retriever, the younger one that was adopted into the family. He's like a bit of a man whore. He's bi. He'll get with anyone. You know, he knows a trick or two. Jonas is like the grumpy cowboy, hasn't been with anyone for years. He's been pining after his younger brother.
Here we go.
Yeah. So she turns up at the ranch. The two of them are working. She turns up with like coffees and stuff. And she's like, hey, cowboys, you know, do you need a hand? Or whatever she says to them, you know, when she introduces herself. And they're like, who the fuck is this? And obviously Teddy being the golden retriever and the flirt and everything was like, you know, sliding up to her like, hey, ma'am. You know. All the old cowboy charm and everything. So he starts flirting with her from the get-go, and anyway, they cotton on eventually that she's the new owner. So they decide to go into the house. We're still in the first like 15 pages at the moment, by the way. So they decide to go into the house. They're talking and stuff, and she's like, they have a conversation about her putting her stuff in the house and stuff like that, and then they come to find out that actually the boys also live in the house as well. Yeah. And she's like, well, wait, you live here too? And obviously I was sort of a bit like, well, you've just bought a ranch for 750k. I'm pretty sure the realtor would have told you that actually there's 2 people already living in your fucking house. Yeah. Anyway, so I was like, it's fine, I'll gloss over it. So they were like, oh, we actually live here. And she was like, okay, well, I obviously can't kick these people out. And I was like, okay, sure. So then they start drinking. She's just turned up. So they start drinking. They end up getting a bit boozy. she starts proper flirting with Teddy. Like, Teddy's laying it on thick. He is saying some words, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Like, he's saying some proper flirty, pushing the boundary words, which if you were in a real situation, you would be like, you're a fucking creep. Do you know what I mean? Too soon. Too far, too soon. But obviously, for the context of the book, it was great. So anyway, she's like a little bit boozy and whatever, and she's like, oh, I'm going to go out, I'm going to get my stuff, and then I'm going to go to bed. So she goes out to the car. Jonas decides to go and check on the ranch and whatever, and then she's getting her stuff out the car, and who turns up behind her? Teddy. And he's like, oh, let me give you a hand. But then they end up all like pushed up against each other, and she's all like, oh, well, you know, he starts flirting with her, and she's like, well, two can play that game. So she starts flirting back, and then all of a sudden he's pressed up against her, and
the classics.
Yeah. So then he has her legs wrapped around him, she's pushed up against the car, she rips his belt off, she chucks it on the floor, and anyway, they end up in his bedroom, and they're just going to town on each other. Like, they're going for it straight off the bat, and we're in like page 20 something.
Excellent.
I mean, like, the whole hog. Because I was reading it and I was thinking, okay, we're going to get some like little foreplay here, some like little touchy-feely
cheeky
scenes.
little finger.
Yeah.
We don't need to go the whole hog yet. It's
and
day
then
one.
Jonas will catch them and then they'll stop or whatever and we'll build up to it. No, it was like the whole hog. So Jonas comes back from checking the farm/ranch and he sees her car door open and he's like, what the fuck? So then he goes into the house and obviously he can hear them. So then he goes down the hallway and he doesn't stop watching. So obviously he sees them and then he's like, oh my god, that's so hot. Oh my god, look at my brother, he's so hot. You know, like pining after him and everything. Seeing the two of them together. So he whips himself out, gets himself off by watching them.
Oh, classic.
And then, anyway, that ends. He goes to his room, he scarpers off, and then I think it's the next morning or whenever it is, she's in the room and he makes a comment just off the cuff, Jonas, and accidentally kind of like outs himself that he'd seen them and that he knows. So then Teddy, straight off the bat, is like all over him like a rash. Oh, did you like seeing me doing this, that, and the next thing? It just all moved so quickly, like it was too quick. So then he was straight on him immediately. Yeah. And they'd never had a conversation about it up to that point. But all of a sudden, Teddy was saying all the words to him after like 10 years, 15 years or whatever. So then Teddy's all over him. Then they start kissing and getting it on, and River's just in the background watching, and then they all kind of come together. And then they're all out and about in town and they're all holding hands and the boys are holding hands with their cowboy hats on and it's all, you know, they're accepted by everyone. And it just got really cheesy in parts as well. I enjoyed it because of Teddy. I actually really liked his character and I actually really liked the golden retriever-ness of him.
Which surprises me because you don't normally.
No, I know. No. He was my favourite character in this. I did really, really like him. Yeah, I just would have liked it. This probably could have done with maybe being like 200 pages, 250 pages and eked it out a little bit. I think it had a lot of potential. And I do really like the name, Fires Creek. So I gave it 3 stars. I think I already said that at the beginning, and 5 chili peppers. It was just like, because obviously there was like you know, and he was holding their peens together and, you know, doing it. And then there was double pen and, you know, all of it. All the things, yeah.
And it was only 113 pages.
And then she had like a drawer of like loads of toys, and then she was getting like loads of strap-ons, and then she had this vibrating strap-on and she was doing like them up the booty hole.
Oh!
It just really
skyrocketed.
It went off. It completely went off. It really did.
That's why they had to bang on page 20, because she had loads of tricks in her up her sleeve.
I mean, bloody hell. I mean, we had an epilogue and everything in this. I was actually quite shocked. But anyway, sorry, that ended up being a lot longer than I intended. So let me just quickly go into Death Valley then, which has minimal notes. Because I forgot to go back to them. I just remembered. So Death Valley, I gave 3 stars and two chili peppers.
2 chili!
So this is 360 pages, so it's a full-length book. And I read, if you are an avid listener of the podcast, you'll know I read Grave Matter by Karina Halle recently, and I fucking loved it. I ate that shit up. And I'm going to carry on reading her books. I think you're going to be reading Blood Orange soon.
Yep.
And we've heard that that's amazing. So I'm definitely going to carry on reading her books. So the reason I chose this is because... And I think you had seen it. You must have seen it roughly around the same time. I'd already started reading it, actually. And it was marketed as like a dark cowboy romance. There really wasn't much cowboy in this. And when I say there wasn't much, there wasn't any. Apart from like, I think maybe a handful of mentions of his hat and the fact that he lived on some kind of a ranch. But that was it. I'd say it was probably actually leaning more in towards a mafia vibe because of the ranch and the ranch hands and his kind of minions all being corrupt.
Yeah.
Which I don't want to go into too much because you learn it as you go through the book, which wasn't particularly necessary, to be honest. It was weird. So I didn't not enjoy it, but I didn't enjoy it. And the only reason I gave it 3 stars is because it's very loosely based around a true story. So it's about, for the Americans that are listening, you'll probably already know what this is. I didn't know what it was, but it is based around the Donner Party. From, I think it was like 1847 or something like that. Don't quote me on the exact dates. I'm sure it was like 1847. And it was basically, the Donner Party was a group of people who were emigrating through Canada, I believe, either from America to Canada or through, anyway, they were going through some kind of like mountains and terrain. And there was a bloke with them. I can't remember his name now, but they named some passageways after him because he suggested, let's take a shortcut and go this way to the whole party. And they ended up in a fucking shit show. So the storm got really bad and they all got stuck and they had to basically like camp out and they were trying to get to this destination. And I think they were something like they were only like 10 miles away from where they needed to be, but they physically couldn't move anymore. So they all had to like basically camp out. And I think like more than half of them ended up dying. But basically what happened is they ran out of food and water and everything so quickly that the people who then naturally died off, so this is a true story, the people that then naturally died off, because it was so cold, their bodies were frozen, which meant the meat was frozen. So the people who were still alive started to eat the ones who had died because the meat was frozen. So they turned to cannibalism. And then that kind of progressed where I think they started to, or they did kill off a couple of other people intentionally that were there. And I think the parties kind of split off from each other as well. So they weren't all congregated just together. And then they were eventually found. But yeah, obviously everyone had kind of turned to cannibalism. And apparently it was a very big thing in kind of American/Canadian history. Sorry if I've got that wrong. But apparently it's a very big thing. So I was like, when I read the start of the book, the author's note that said this, I was like, fuck, I love this shit.
Yeah,
like, I fucking eat that up. I was like, based on a true story, cannibalism, I'm fucking there.
Yeah.
In the mountains, sold.
Yeah.
So anyway, Jensen and Aubrey, these are the main characters. Jensen is obviously the MMC, Aubrey's the FMC. So Aubrey is an FBI agent that actually leaves the force. She's on leave because her sister went missing and her sister's boyfriend also went missing. And her sister became obsessed with the Donner Party and she wanted to go and visit where it happened, which I believe is called the Donner Lakes or the Donner Lake. So she went to this town to go and visit, got turned around, ended up not coming home. So she went missing, I think it was like 3 years ago. So sister never got over it. She's on leave from the force. She decides to go to the town. She finds this guy, Jensen. She sees that he helped another person find a lost loved one in these woods. Yeah. Where her sister got missing, and she was like, okay, I'm going to get this guy to help me. He's obviously very good. So she enlists Jensen. It's all like really creepy at the beginning about how everyone's sort of like sketchy about talking about him and stuff like that. Anyway, she finds him, she turns up, he's got like little minions with him, and she's like, I will give you 100 grand cash if you take me up this fucking mountain and just help me get some peace. We don't necessarily have to find her. I need to find some evidence that she's dead or alive or whatever. And he's like, fuck, I need the money because there's something corrupt going on higher up that we don't know about at that time, but I need the money to pay off my debts to this corrupt guy. And I was like, okay, sure. You could have picked any other. So I really thought that this guy that they were talking about, that was just mentioned as if like lingering around, that he owes money to, I thought he was going to come into play at some point. He didn't.
Excellent.
Which is not a spoiler, by the way. It's just sort of like a back story or back plot, if you wish, as to why he needs the money. Anyway, he's like, okay, fine. So then he gets his little minions involved. They take the horses. They decide to go up into the mountains. And it's all very slow starting. And they do have a bit of a connection. You know, she turns up. The other guys don't really take to her very well. One of them's like really a bit creepy. I think his name was Red. He was a bit creepy and he was like staring at her. And then, so they go up into the mountains and they go from like cabin to cabin. So they find places to camp and then they go to a cabin because he's lived there his whole life. Like it's his ranch, his family's ranch. So he knows all these places. Yeah. But a lot of people don't go that far up into the mountains because they know that there's like something eerie going on up there. Yeah, there's something weird in the mountains. And he was like reluctant at first because he was like, well, I've been up there previously and it wasn't a good experience. I know that there's weird things in the mountains. So they go up there, they connect. They have maybe like 2 or 3 spicy scenes, I think. The two of them together, they do connect. They do end up falling in love, obviously. It is a romance. And I'm not going to tell you about like whether obviously she finds her sister and all that kind of stuff because you really have to go on that fucking journey yourself because holy shitballs. I will say the word zombie is mentioned and that is where it started to lose me. But I felt like she had to say the word zombie. So she was obviously taking these cannibals, the author was taking the cannibals and the cannibal element of the Donna Party story and turning it to make it more eerie and darker for the sake of the story. They became, you know, humans that were no longer human, that had the hunger.
Yeah.
And the word zombie was thrown about only a couple of times, but I was like pretty into zombies, so but I was like, I'm just gonna carry on anyway. And it really all kicks off. I mean, there were some really fucking good scenes, and there were some scenes where I was like, oh, this is a little bit scary. Yeah. Actually, this is a bit scary. I was on the edge of my seat waiting for things to happen. So I would recommend giving it a read. I will say, I don't know if anyone's ever seen these films, but it was like Wrong Turn meets Descent. I don't know if you've seen any of them.
I've seen Wrong Turn, yeah.
Descent is the one where they're in the caves and there's those weird creatures that are in the caves chasing them.
Right, okay.
And it's dark. So there is a whole situation with caves and these creatures. But then also they are being hunted kind of like in the woods and stuff as well. So, and obviously the creatures are like, they're human, but they're not human. So it really was giving like Descent meets Wrong Turn, you know, with a cowboy and some horses in the woods.
That is a lot to unpack. That is a lot.
It is, isn't it? And that, when I tell you, that does not even scratch the surface.
Oh, lordy.
So much happens that I could go into. It's... wow. I mean, yeah, wow. There's an avalanche at one point. She gets buried alive.
No, of course.
Yeah.
Why not chuck that in for a laugh?
Cabin on fire. And yeah, whoa. I mean, she definitely knows how to write eerie vibes. I don't know if this is an earlier book or not, but yeah, I wouldn't say it wasn't very cowboy-like. He just owned a ranch and happened to have a cowboy hat.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But at least you read it. At least you got through it.
I did deduct 0.5. Instead of it being a down the middle 3.5, I deducted a 0.5 because I didn't like the whole zombie situation.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to go on to your next one now?
Whoo! You sure? Am I doing all 3, yeah? I don't have a lot to say about these ones because I didn't have the best time. So I'm going to run through them as quickly as humanly possible. But I still have a lot to say.
We always say, I'll do this really quick and then talk for 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
This is 3 books though, so strap in. Okay, I'll start with the easy one. So I'll start with Rein Me In by Kayla Grosse. So I've read a lot of Kayla Grosse books recently and I've had a fucking great time. So I was like, I'm going to eat this up and I'm going to have the best time of my life. Now, it was very cutesy, but there was a lot of like sort of dark moments. There was trauma. There was things that were happening in it that I wasn't expecting. Because I was thinking I'm going to go in, I'm going to have a smutty great time. And this is going to get me out of my little slumpage. And that's exactly what it didn't do. So basically, so it's Gavin and Blake. So Blake used to be on the ranch with her family back in the day. Her and her brother had gone off on the horses one day and he unfortunately died. So that was her trauma. So she's never gone back to the ranch since then. And then she decides to go back because her mum can't walk, like she's hurt herself. So she said, I'll come back and I'll help out. So that's her story. And then you've got Gavin, whose father has just passed away. So he's now like the head honcho. He needs to get them all out of debt. You know, he needs to look after the family business. So he's like trying to think of ways that he can do that. So the local bar, because that's where they own the local bar. So they're going to do a buckaroo competition for women. Women will have to stay on the ball and men will just throw out a load of prizes and then they've got to go on dates with the men. So Blake, you know, no one knows that Blake's back in town. Blake turns up and then Gavin's like, oh my God, she's back. Oh my God, I used to love her. I'm going to, you know, get her on the bull and then I'm going to bid on her. Anyway, so she used to be a bull rider as well. Sure. So,
there's a lot of sure's going off in this, isn't there?
Sure.
We just had 2 weeks of sure.
Sure. I accept it and I move on. So she's on the bull and then there's like loads of like bids. Then Gavin's like, no. And then everyone's like, why is Gavin bidding? Like, he's got no money. Like, what's he doing? Anyway, so someone else ends up winning and then she's like, Gavin's a prick. Like, why did he force me to get up there and then bid on me? So she's like giving it big uns. She ends up going on this date with Jake. Anyway, after this, Gavin then goes to her house and is like, look, I'm really sorry about what happened. I shouldn't have done that to you, but I still do want to take you out on a date, if that's okay. She's like, nah, fuck you. I'm not going out on a date with you. But then she gets sunstroke. Sure. She gets she's out in the water having a whale of a time and he's watching her having a whale of a time in the water. And then she ends up with sunstroke. So then she's only got one horse and he's got to try and get her home. She's like, don't touch me. I don't want to go with you. But he gets her home and then they ask if he wants dinner. I don't know. So much happened. I don't understand. Anyway, so she ends up going on the date with Jake. But then Gavin crashes it and then she ends up going on the rest of the date with Gavin. And that's how their bond begins. But Gavin's got a brother, I think he's in the second book. Gavin's got a brother who is like a proper alky and he just causes a fuck ton of problems for everyone involved. And yeah, it gets really dark at the end. And it was just, there was a lot of moments where I was kind of like, fine. Like, I'll accept all of these things that are happening, but I'm not going to have a good time. I'm not going to have a good time while I'm doing it. I refuse. Anyway. Anyway, so it was hella cutesy. I think I gave it 3.5 stars, but I'm thinking maybe more of a 3. Because, I mean, the writing wasn't shit. And do you know what? Like, people will enjoy it.
Yeah.
It just wasn't for me. I was expected to go into something that would just be a smutty mess and I would come out of it like a new woman. And that's not what happened. That's all. I gave it 4 for Spice. Once they did it, relentless. Loved it. They was everywhere. But I can't pick out a scene where I was like, that's very rememberable. That's very memorable. That's very...
Rememberable.
That. I remember that.
Sure.
Sure. I remember that a lot. Sure. So that was Rein Me In. I don't know if I will read the next one. I'm lying. I won't read it. I actually won't. I thought about it just then. I won't.
Oh dear.
So that's that one. Next, we have Saving the Rain by Elliot Rose. Now,
I'm really shocked about this, that he didn't enjoy this.
So this one is Casey, as in Daddy Colt's son, that was with Layla, who was going to have the baby. So, you know, like in that book, he was a proper prick. Like, he was awful. So in this book, he's like a golden retriever. Like, the vibe was very different. I don't know. It wasn't that I was expecting him to be a prick, but he was very much not at all. Like, he was the opposite end on all things. Anyway, so we've got Casey and Rein. So they are stepbrothers. So Casey is going through a lot of shit with his mum because his mum's like an alky. And Daddy Colt and Layla have gone away. Casey gets himself in loads of like stupid situations and Rein has always had to bail him out. So that's basically the storyline, is Casey getting himself in loads of stupid situations and Rein bailing him out. And then both having like past trauma with a parent, because Rein's dad is also a bit of a prick. So I didn't vibe with it at all. Like, there was nothing about it where I was like, this is fun. I'm having a good time. It felt very messy. Or was I messy? Maybe I'm the mess.
Could have been both.
It could have been both. Rein is like the one with all the words. He's like the big guy. the protector, calls him Snowflake. It's very adorable of you. And also, what I didn't vibe with was the fact that every single person in every single one of all the other books was in this book.
Oh, that does sound messy.
It was so confusing.
Is it the last book in the series?
Yeah.
Well, that'll be why everybody was in it, I guess.
Yeah.
But
I was like, wait,
messy.
who the fuck is that? There was, because, do you know in Bouquets and Buckles, her best friend, the gay one.
Oh, yeah.
He's in it. And I was like,
he didn't need to be in it.
He did not need to be in it. He didn't need to be in it at all. It was, I don't know, it was just very, very, very confusing. But Daddy Colt did give some lovely advice.
Oh,
and
nice.
I thought, that's nice. Yeah. That was good. Yeah, outside of that.
So what did you give it rating?
I gave it 3.5 stars, and I gave it 3 for the chili peppers.
I'm surprised you gave it 3.5.
I gave it 3.5 because it was written really well. I just wish it was a bit shorter, but I also just didn't vibe with it. But I feel like I know that it was written well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I know that is all right. I just didn't vibe with it.
I think, yeah, I wonder if you had read that not in a slump, how different the rating would have been. Would you have gotten to the bit where everyone started coming in from the other books and been like, oh,
This
it's
is so
so-and-so.
nice.
Oh my God, look, it's so-and-so. Do you think it's because...
Oh, but I was just angry. I was like, why the fuck have you turned
I felt
up?
a bit like that reading my books. I was a bit annoyed.
Why are you here now?
Why are we talking about this for?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
So it might be interesting if I do a reread, if I feel any better about it. It's just unlikely I'm going to now because one simply does not have the time to just throw it back in for a laugh.
That's true.
It's very true. Yeah, and it got really dark at the end. Out of nowhere.
Oh,
yeah.
Have you got one more book, have you?
Yeah.
Oh, no. What is it?
So this one is branded by Saffron Akem.
Oh, God.
Right, so.
Oh, no.
So this one is dark romance. This had so many plot lines, but nothing happened at the same time. Like, and I wish I was joking. I'm not. Okay, strap in for this one. I've already lost Nikita and I only said 2 words. So we've got Peyton, who is Reverie, and we've got Beau, who is Arsenal. So Peyton and Beau are pen pals. He's in prison and she needs to do like some coursework on prisoners for college. But then it turns out Peyton isn't Peyton. Peyton is actually Reverie. So Reverie's best friend is called Peyton. And because they look like each other, apparently they do this all the time, where they pretend to be each other. So that's what she did. Anyway, so Beau gets out of prison. He's in a cafe and she goes to the cafe. And then Beau's like looking at her all funny. And she's like fidgeting because she's like, oh, I don't think he likes the way that I look. And he just tells her to get out. So she's like, oh, it's so weird. So she leaves. She ends up stalking him. She goes to the hotel that he's staying at. And then the guy behind there's like, no, his name's not Beau, it's Arsenal. And she's like, fuck, that's Arsenal Grayson. Arsenal Grayson's family are at war with the real Peyton's family. 2 ranches at war. Been at war for years. They've all been killing each other. That's what they've been doing. But obviously she's not Peyton. She's Reverie and just decides to say fuck all about it. So, Beau...
I have got no fucking idea what you're talking about.
So...
I am so wildly... I am so off-piste, off-track, but I haven't got a fucking clue what's going on.
So Beau/Arsenal kidnaps her, takes her to the middle of nowhere. She wakes up, she's like, oh God, I should tell him I'm not Peyton. And then just doesn't. So then he's like, goes in there, feeds her and all this stuff. He's like, listen, we are going to have to get married. She's like, what? Like, why? He's like, because we're going to have to get married because I need your ranch. And because of you're the only woman, whoever you marry, the man will get part of the ranch and I need that land. And she's like, okay, we'll get married. Still doesn't say, I'm not actually Peyton. Yeah.
Interesting.
So they get married. On the way, he kills someone. Why not? Sure. So he kills someone on the way. They get married. And then...
Would he not have seen her name on the marriage certificate?
He did. Yeah, he did. And he's like, oh, I'll note that for later.
So he's seen that it didn't say Peyton, it said
yeah.
Reverie.
So it said Peyton. Because obviously it will say his name and Peyton printed. But then she signed as Reverie.
Ah.
And he was like, oh, better ask her about that later. And then just doesn't.
Right.
And then, yeah, it just got really messy, really. They was out camping all the time. And he was like trying to coax her into telling him the truth. And she just didn't. And then he just lived with that. And then they ended up at the ranch, and I don't know. Do you know what? It was just very messy. It was very messy. The real Peyton came back into it in the end. Nothing really happened there.
So he wasn't like, well, hold on a minute.
He found out in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just wasn't bothered.
And then just wasn't, he just carried on. He was like, I'm a bad person. I'm a bad person. You shouldn't still want to be married to me. And she was like, I'll give you everything. I want to be with you. And then he's like, well, then we're going to have sex because, you know, I'm into it rough. I want it hard. And she's like, yeah, but I'm a virgin. So you'll be nice to me, won't you? You'll be kind. And he's like, no, that's not what I'm going to do. You are my wife. You are my wife. And I'm going to go to town on you. There was one point, and this came out of nowhere. There was one point where he strapped her up when they were out camping to a tree and then made her suck off a gun. I feel like the thing is, you'll be like, none of that made any sense. And I'm telling you, that's how it went. Like, that's how it went. Even the beginning, when they were pen pals, because they do like the letters. So the first bit is the letters, and you have all the letters in that. And I was like, oh, that's nice. I don't know where we're going here, but that's cool. Loads of them kept coming. I was like, oh, bit boring, but we'll carry on. And then they went into the scene where you found out that she weren't Peyton, and I was like, where do we go from here? For a start, now thinking about it, that was totally fucking pointless. They could have just used the real Peyton, and that would have been fine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, why did we need to use a totally different person? Why did she need to
not be the right person?
Anyway, what's done is done, really. It's over, isn't it?
That's it now.
It's
all done, Darren.
Woo! So anyway, I rated it 3, which now I'm thinking I would go to a 2.5.
Ooh. Yeah,
now I've had to think about it more.
Everything you've just said, yeah.
It was a mess. Do you know what should have happened? Do you know what? Let's have one plot line and make it spicy.
Yeah.
If you've done all that spice, let's just have one plot line.
Not overcomplicate
it. And let's make it nice and easy and just make it a nice, smutty cowboy situation. And do you know what? Like, I did see mixed reviews, and that's why I kind of wanted to read it, because I was like, oh, but it is cowboy and I bet I'll love it. And I didn't. So, yeah. Okay. I'll never get that time back. I'll never get the last few weeks back.
No, I feel like that as well, yeah.
That's a real shame, that.
I feel like the last few weeks have just been nothing. Nothingness.
I would have rather have just read Pen Pal 3 times. Been like, oh, I didn't see that coming again.
JT Geisinger for 3 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go into Cowboy Casual now by Hollee Renee. This is one of my 12 for 12s, actually. And I actually fucking love this. I gave this 5 stars. I gave it 5 stars and 3.5 chili peppers. It was 432 pages, so it was actually quite long. I think looking at the book, I've got it here. If you're watching on video, it's actually got a little bit of a flop to it.
Oh, we do like a flop.
I've just fucking realised it's signed.
Yeah.
I didn't realise that before. It's a really lovely looking book as well. But actually it's quite deceptive because it's a taller book. Or it certainly feels taller. I don't know. It doesn't look like it's 430 odd pages. The writing's quite small actually. Now the font's quite small in there. Yeah, I love this. I did really love it. And again, I did read this during a slump, so it would be interesting to see how much more I maybe would have loved it had I not been in a slump. Do you know what I mean? If I actually gave it 5 stars. So it's single dad, second chance, childhood friends to lovers. He has a fucking filthy mouth. He is totally down bad for her, and he has a slutty moustache.
Oh, stop! Fucking love
and
he
gives it the old yes ma'am, yes ma'am,
yes ma'am.
So Blair and Colt we have in this. I actually don't have many notes on this because oh my god, I just rattled through it. I was having such a good time, and I think, you know, when you've been in a slump as well and you find that book that you're actually seeming to get through and enjoy, you just want to keep going, don't you, and get through it. So I actually have a note here. I wasn't even halfway through the book and I'd written down, this is defo going to be a 5 star.
Oh,
so much. I don't want to say so much happens, but it was just so many really great things happened that it wasn't too much. It was just it was perfect. The way, the pacing, the plot line, like everything, it really was perfect. So we've got Blair, who is engaged to a guy, and she opens an email, and she basically gets like a picture or video of her fiance bending his assistant over in his office and going to town. So she ends up breaking up with him, and her dad is like some powerful, like a judge or a senator, I think he is, something like that. And he's very much like all about the look of everything. So how she appears to the public eye, you know, marry this guy who's got money, he's powerful, he's doing well for himself. Her dad doesn't give a shit that he's cheating on her and stuff like that. Oh, men make mistakes. He was such a dickhead. So she ends up leaving this guy, and she goes to stay with her grandmother in Tennessee. Her grandmother's really lovely. So her ex Colt lives there, and she hasn't seen him for years. They had a breakup where he kind of said to her, you know, go off and live your life and do your thing. And she was kind of like raging about it, and she was, you know, it was all a whole thing. And then obviously the information on how that breakup came about does trickle out throughout the story. So when she comes back, she finds out that Colt now has a child, but she meets him, and it's like instantly they've still got this like insane chemistry, and the chemistry really radiated through the pages. Like their tension was amazing. Chemistry 10/10. And then she found out that he has a child, and obviously she's like, oh my god, like, is he still with the mother? Where's the mum around? Blah, blah, blah. And the little girl, Ruby, was written so well, and we love it, don't we? You know, like in Caught Up, when the kid is written so well.
Love that shit.
Oh my god. When you manage to write the kid well, it just really takes the story up a notch, because she was absolutely fucking adorable.
Yeah.
His daughter. And it's like, it is a big sort of like found family kind of trope as well. You know, she really integrates herself back into this community that she sort of left behind, and this family she sort of left behind. But now there's an additional person, because there's Ruby, the daughter. And she ends up like having to babysit Ruby, the daughter, one day, like unintentionally, and she ends up, they sort of like gravitate towards each other, and then they sort of like really like each other. And anyway, obviously her relationship with Colt starts to kind of like build and build and build, you know, and then, you know, things happen, and their tension is just absolutely impeccable. And the first time that they ever sort of like touch each other again, I think they were only with each other like once or something, like back in the day before she left. But they all decide to go to the lake, and there's characters there that are going to be the next book, which is out very soon. Actually, by the way, I think it's in May. And so everybody's there, they're at this lake, they're all drinking and blah, blah, blah. So then everybody else decides to go home. The two of them are left behind. They go down into the water. He's in the water. This is like one of my favourite scenes. My favourite spicy scene, I think, probably. He's in the water, and she's on the dock where the ladder is. So she's got her legs sort of like hanging down where the ladder is, and he kind of comes over, and they decide to play a game of truth or dare.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
That old chestnut.
Yeah. I'm all over this.
Yeah. Oh my god. You really have to read this. He was amazing. So they're playing a game of truth or dare, and they're saying truths to begin with.
Yeah.
And then obviously kind of like naturally escalates, and he says something along the lines of something saucy like, do I make you wet? Something like that. Or were you wet for me this morning? It was something like that. And she says, I thought we were playing a game. And he says, we are. And then it goes, his gaze dropped to where my thighs pressed desperately together, and I felt so exposed. His tongue traced his bottom lip, leaving it glistening. I dare you to show me. What? The word fractured between us, though we both knew exactly what he meant. Show me how wet you are. His voice was pure gravel, almost reverent, and his hand gripped the ladder on either side of my thighs like I was the only thing keeping him tethered. Let me see what I still do to you, Blair. Honestly, then he like slowly like parted her thighs, so she's on this ladder, and his hands like creep up her thighs. Oh my, it was absolutely insane, like insane. But he was like going to town on her eventually, but he was also going to town on himself at the same time.
What a man.
I was losing my shit. I was quite literally losing my shit. Like, it was insane. The spicy scenes in they're amazing. Honestly, incredible. He had a proper filthy mouth, like a proper dirty mouth. I had so many annotations in this of things that he said. You know, I said to you the other day, I've got like 6 quotes. I think like 5 of them are just from this book. And then like the end of it, I did really love as well. Like, obviously I'm not going to spoil it, but they have like a conversation at the end and just sort of like lay it all out in the line. You know, they're a bit older, and he just says all the right things, and I was like crying, not properly crying, but it was like, you know, it teared me up and everything. And then the little girl, Ruby, she gives her this necklace. Holt kept this, he calls her Strawberry, and he kept her necklace, which was like a strawberry from like way back in the day, and he kept it. And she ended up finding it, like with so Ruby handed it to her one day, and she was like, oh, Daddy gave me this and said that I should hold it whenever I feel like I need to be strong. You know, because like the owner of it, the person who owned the necklace was the strongest person he knew. And obviously I was like, oh, that's her. He kept that necklace. And then Ruby gave it to her and was like, oh, you keep it because you need it. So then she was like, when her ex-fiance kind of like came back, obviously I won't tell you what happened in those scenes, but she's like, the necklace is in her hand, and you know when you're just like, oh, she's like holding onto this little neck. Oh,
no,
it was just,
I cannot. No,
oh my God,
I cannot.
Crying. I'd literally put here, oh my God, the necklace situation had me buckled, honestly. Oh, it was so fucking sweet. Guys, I really loved this. It was so good. There were so many scenes in this, honestly, that were just amazing. They really were. But that lake scene, that did things to me.
Yeah, that sounded really sexy as fuck.
Yeah. Okay, what are we on to now?
Last one, Dirty Cowboys.
Dirty Cowboys. So I don't actually have any notes on this. So I do know what I gave it star rating wise. So I gave it 4.5 stars. And I think I gave it 4.5 chili peppers or 5.
So I gave it 4 stars, 4.5 chili peppers.
Chili peppers.
Chili peppers. So this one, we have got Indy, who is like a social media star. She's going to like Cowboy Town so that she can do some filming and like work on a ranch. Then we've got Walker and Nash, who cross swords. And then we've got Duke. So all 3 of the MMCs actually live together. Duke's got a massive schlong.
Yep.
I took that away. That was good news. Good news for all involved. He doesn't cross any swords. But there is a very delightful scene at the end, which I'll go into because it was my favourite scene. So she is in Cowboy Town. She goes into a bar, and then the 3 MMCs are there at the bar. She's like talking to people, getting to know everyone. And then they stumble across her social media, and they find out that she actually wants to be chased by masked men.
I think it's her blog. She has a blog. And it was like, wait, no, because they said, she says in it something like, because she wants to be anonymous. So she like the people that read her blog. But then it's literally called something like Indy's Diary. Yeah. And I was like, that's not very anonymous.
Definitely Indy. Not anonymous. Indy. First name. Anyway, so the first time they chase her, they're on their horses, giddy-upping. And then they just sort of let her go. Nothing happens. But then they do message her and they're like, if you like a piece of that cake, then meet us tomorrow night in this location.
Before we get into the rest of it, I said this before we started filming to Tia. I didn't enjoy this until they took the masks off. Yeah. Until they revealed themselves. Yeah. Then I was like, now I'm in. Nice. It just sort of, I don't know, the whole thing just seemed to be better. I actually don't know if I'm really into mask situations.
I don't know, like I don't mind them just as like a little laugh, but I wouldn't take it very seriously. No. Whereas I think I enjoyed this more because they was cowboys.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely.
Right, so my favourite scene is actually the last scene. I'm not even, it's not a spoiler because obviously they're all going to do each other anyway. Set the scene. So Duke, the massive schlong, is doing her from behind. And she finally wants to watch Walker and Nash because she hasn't seen Walker and Nash doing bits in the same vicinity. So Duke then is going to tell Walker and Nash what to do.
Oh, yeah.
Walker starts suckying Nash right in front of Duke and Indy. So Duke tells him not to swallow. So Walker has to hold his finish, Nash's finish, in his mouth. And then he tells Walker to spit the finish onto his own pee-pee that was just inside Indy, and then he rams it into Indy, aka rams it home, and then Nash then licks her and him at the same damn time. Woo!
Because he's like, because I remember that scene being like, woo!
That was hot as shit.
He was like, keep going, don't stop, something like that, and I was like,
because Duke doesn't get involved in things. So it was kind of like asking permission if they could do it or not. And then Duke was like, do it for our girl. Yeah, she deserves it. And I was like, oh.
I did really enjoy this. Like I said, I enjoyed it more after the masks came off. It was just really good. I liked the whole, I liked the boyfriends to be boyfriends. I liked that they were cowboys.
Yeah.
It was just a really good time. Actually.
Some really good spicy scenes. There was another one where I think Duke and Indy had finally done it, because basically Duke wasn't going to do her because he's too big. But Duke and Indy do end up doing it, and then it was even Nashua Walker then walked in and saw it happening, and then just stood there watching it, and then the other one came up behind the other one and was like, come with me, and then he ends up bending him over because everyone's all turned on, and then Indy then walks in on them doing it, and then she's like, all hot and bothered. That was delightful.
Yeah, that was
very good.
I was actually in that scene, I was hoping that they were just going to remain standing there watching rather than going into a different
off
room.
And doing it.
I would have preferred that.
What, and he just went to town whilst watching. That would have been good, yeah.
Yeah.
Or even if when she caught them, they all just ended up having one massive orgy.
Sure. Why not? At this point, why not?
Anything can happen in these books.
Anything goes.
Yeah.
That's it, actually. I think that's everything, isn't it? That's all of our cowboy books.
That's all the books. It's been a mixed bag.
Yeah. The mix was more...
What's the end of that?
Not great.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think next time we do a cowboy week, I'm going to look into it more. Or...
We'd been preparing for a cowboy week for ages. Like, I had some of these books ready to fucking go.
Oh, no.
And I think it was just because of the slump. So next time, if we are approaching a cowboy week and I know I'm in a slump, I'm going to say, let's do something else.
Yeah.
Let's not do a theme. And just maybe talk about something else.
Yeah, in hindsight, that would have been better. Or just don't read books that are clearly going to be 5-6 star reads before we then go into this.
Yeah, yeah.
That didn't help.
Yeah.
But we live and we learn.
We'll try again.
Yeah.
Some point soon for Cowboys, because it's usually one of our favourite themes, and it just fell flat.
Love it.
We do, however, have a Why Choose theme coming up very soon.
What's
our next theme? Oh, our next one is a wrap-up? No.
We've got Daddy coming up.
I think it's...
Our next pod is Heated Rivalry.
Heated Rivalry, then we're doing a wrap-up, and then it's either Daddy or Why Choose after that. I think it's Why Choose.
And Zodiac, we've got to squeeze in there somewhere.
Zodiac will be a bonus one at some point. One day. At one point in time.
I just keep pushing it further and further down the list. We need to get it over and done with, because we're going to have to start reading all of Sarah J. Maas's books.
Yeah, I know, yeah. We need to start with Throne of Glass, don't we?
Yeah.
So that's going to be fun. So yeah, we need to get Zodiac Academy finished.
Yeah.
And then Dartmoor Penitentiary. Mm-hmm. So then we can start Throne of Glass.
Oh, sweating. I am just thinking about it.
That's a lot of things to do, isn't it? That's a lot of books to read, that is. Okay, anyway. That was our Cowboy Week. That's us. We'll see you for... So, Heated Rivalry and the Housemaid pod is book versus on-screen adaptation. This was supposed to be a bonus pod, but because we took a week off, and also we have a tandem read coming up, we were like, this is just going to have to be an actual pod.
Yeah.
Instead.
Plus, we've had the notes ready for about 2 months.
No, that's not even an exaggeration. We actually have had the notes ready. I've even got the schedule for the pod and like the order in which we talk about things also ready to go. Yeah. So we need to get that done, really. Because otherwise I'm just going to forget everything that fucking happened.
I know, I'm going to have to go, but I might, you know what I might do?
Rewatch it.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah. Okay, let's wrap this up. We'll see you next week. Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, that was a nice clink.